So you're right there on Fountain Square then? Right
Yeah,
there?
yeah, very close, yes.
The Nettie Lee,
Across the
Buster
street.
Brown shoes, and you had
Yes.
that thing that rode
Yes.
you could ride around on.
They got a merry-go-round.
A merry-go-round.
And x-rays for your feet.
Yeah.
Mom wouldn't let us get on that. We would x-ray our feet at the Nettie Lee shoe shop for children.
They didn't have the thing, where you put your foot in now, and they literally x-rayed your foot.
You could do that.
Okay, now, how many of you guys were already born when you moved here in 57?
2.
Okay.
No,
You and
I was
Judy-
born.
Judy-
born in
I
Bristol.
was. Oh,
Judy-
that's right. I'm sorry.
Tricia. Yeah, you don't remember.
I was the only one born here and the one that graduated from Science Hill. So I'm the only one born in Johnson City and graduated from Science Hill.
That is
But-
true.
Y'all-
Catherine graduated from Cleveland High School. That's right.
That's right. Oh. She gets to be the front page.
Yeah.
So Lee, that makes you more Johnson City than
Absolutely.
right.
Yes.
Now, what was that business in 94?
East Tennessee Finance.
These names are starting to sound familiar. I bet I borrowed money off you at some point.
She may have been one of your good customers.
So I would have remembered.
Okay.
He remembers his
Then
customers.
I sold it and opened the company I now have in 1999. I sold East Tennessee Finance and opened Unaka Auto Sales, which I have now had for 20 years. I opened my wife's business when I was 70 years old.
It's hard to believe that.
That's inspiring.
Isn't
I'm
it?
thinking
He'll
this,
be 90 years old
this
in
paint job on my
December.
house is the last big thing I'm gonna do. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, we never missed a meal, did we?
No, we
Sir,
didn't.
we didn't.
But now you moved here twice. Must be
Yes,
something
yes,
about Johnson
yes.
City you liked.
Johnson City was our home really because our children basically were raised here. They, we just had roots here, and Johnson City, having lived in different places, Johnson City by far is the best place we found to live and have the family like we had. We've lived in Florida, we've lived in Georgia, we've lived in Mississippi, we've lived in South Carolina, we've lived in Virginia, but this is the place to live, as far as we were concerned. I was married to the same lady for 57 years, and this was her home.
Well, I left. I went to 1 year at ETSU. So I graduated from Science Hill, went to 1 year at ETSU, and then year and a half. Lee graduated from Science Hill, and we decided to go to the University of Tennessee. So she and I roomed together. Mom and Dad told us that they would provide a car and an apartment. So we provided our tuition and books, and we could make one long distance phone call a week on Saturdays when the rates were down. So we'd call home on Saturdays, and Lee and I were roommates. So I got married. I married a gentleman from Johnson City, and my last semester I still had to do my student teaching. So Michael and I got married, I did my student teaching, and we stayed in Knoxville. He was employed by the Tennessee Valley Authority. So we stayed in Knoxville for 8 years. I taught school for a couple of years and then went back to law school at the University of Tennessee. And then we had our first child.
He
And
graduated first.
Yeah, well, that's true.
She graduated.
I graduated.
From UT Law
Yeah.
School in 1984.
Thank you,
Okay.
Lee. That's right. And
So you
practiced
went
law in
back to law
Sevierville.
school
Mhm.
at UT.
And practiced law for a little while, and we had our first child, and TVA moved us to Chattanooga. where we lived for 16 years. We thought we would be there forever. And TVA made Michael an offer he couldn't refuse, so they transferred us to Johnson City.
What year was that?
We moved back in 2002. He was the customer service manager for TVA for several years and then became the general manager for the Northeast region. And by that time, we had moved 3 teenagers to Johnson City, and our children did not want to move again because the general manager usually had the office and lived in Knoxville. So Michael told his vice president, "I'll take the job if you'll let me stay and keep my family in Johnson City." And they said, "As long as you don't mind driving a lot," because he worked with local power companies from La Follette, Oak Ridge, all the way up to Mountain City. So he just traveled a lot. So we got to stay here, and our children, all 3, graduated from Science Hill.
And what did you do?
Well, she didn't ask me that. She just asked what brought us back. So that's how we came back in 2002.
Okay. And what else did you do when you got back, Trish?
Thanks, Lee. But you know, when when we knew we were going to be moving, I sent my resume to every law firm in the Tri-Cities, and nobody would hire me.
Oh, Trish, don't put that in the paper.
So I had been teaching in the legal assisting program at Chattanooga State, and there was not a legal assisting program here except for the one at Virginia Intermont, and they already had a full-time faculty. So I did some adjunct teaching there, and Rick Bearfield hired me to do some business formation work. I was writing contracts and helping businesses form. And I was used to a lot of interaction with people, teaching school, teaching college, and I think I've told this to Rick. I got bored, so I went to work for our church, for Muncie, and worked there for 3 years, and read in the Johnson City Press that Duffy Jones was retiring from Hands-On Regional Museum.
Then Holston Habitat.
Mhm.
And how long have you been with Holston Habitat now?
Oh, let me think. I'm terrible with time.
Did you go in as executive director?
I went in as the community development director. You don't have to put this, they didn't hire me when I applied for executive director, but I've told them I wasn't ready. I needed,
Hey,
because
I
it's pretty
applied for the press
complicated.
3 times before that.
There you go. But all in good time, because it gave me a couple of years to kind of learn the ropes, because it's a pretty complicated nonprofit. So I got to learn as I went, and then I was hired as executive director a little over a year ago. So I've been there 4 years now, I think.
I may have come out 4 years total.
I think, yeah, I was, yes, gosh, time flies. Yes, I've been there 4 years now. Yeah, our program is, people often don't understand, our families never pay more than 30% of their income for their mortgage. So if the house is appraised at $120,000, but they can only afford over 30 years to pay back 80, they've already got a significant amount of equity if we only loan them $80,000. So we put a silent second on there that diminishes over 15 years. So a predatory lender can't call them and say, "Hey, have we got a deal for you? You've got $15,000 worth of equity. We want you to have a line of credit." So we do that to protect our families.
One thing that I'm proud of, I've got 8 grandchildren. All of them will be college graduates. 3 of them right now have got masters, and I dare say that they all will end up with masters. I went to school for 11 years. That's all.
Let me think. I left here in 1976 or 7. I'm not sure.
Six.
I moved
After
to,
high school?
I
It was
moved to
76,
Florida,
yeah.
and I lived in Florida for 33 years. My husband passed away in 2006, And I came back up here and built a house and sold my house in Florida in 2011. So I've been back here full time since December of 2011.
Now, Judy, what caused you to come back?
Well,
And come back and build a house?
when after my husband passed away, all my family was here, but other than my brother. My mom was still alive, so mom and dad were still here. And then Lee and Trish and Catherine had already moved back. So,
She wanted to be around her nieces and nephews.
and I really did want to be around my nieces and nephews. They not particularly wanted to be with me.
She's the fun aunt.
She's always
I didn't have
Home
any children,
open,
so
spoiled
it's
them.
like a grandparent can take their grandchildren and let them do whatever they want, get them whatever they want, and then send them home to their parents. So that's what I guess I did.
And now she runs my business.
Oh, that's right. You're working with your dad now?
Well, now that is a story. I was totally enjoying early retirement. And a lady named Sonia Cole worked with my dad for 42 years,
Well, off and on.
and she retired. So Dad said, will you come work at the office part-time till I get somebody in? And that part-time became full-time, and that was, what, 5 years ago?
oh, it's longer than that.
It seems, I don't know.
Are
I didn't say long. I didn't say that.
you trying to tell me I'm out the door?
No, she's very, very, very much responsible for our success.
Lee?
I went to college in Knoxville
Off to you two with your sister.
and Trish and I lived together until she graduated, and then I got a new roommate. And then
Now, did Trish tell me that you guys were paying your own tuition and books, and you could only afford one call a week and call home?
that's exactly right. And I remember I worked as a waitress to pay my way through
I was
college.
paying the phone bill as a reason for that.
That may be true. I don't know. I don't know
I
if that's
think you
true
were
or
paying
not.
the phone bill, but I think we had strict instructions.
Yeah.
One phone call.
Well, that's back.
That was
rates
when
were
you got
low,
charged
yeah.
for long distance.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But I worked as a waitress and worked as a waitress through school. And I can remember I put my money in a savings account, didn't have a checking account. And I remember going and getting $5 a week out. And the bank finally told me that if I had to quit doing that, or they were going to have to start charging me, for withdrawals. And then I graduated from undergraduate school in 1980, and then Trish went to law school, and we were driving to Cleveland one time, and she was driving, and she made me read.
I was trying to
she was trying to
study
study
torts.
while she was driving, so I had to read her torts. And I thought, this is pretty interesting.
Torts is
I might like this. So I took the LSAT and thought I applied to UT and only UT, and thought if I get in, I'll go. If I don't, I'll find something else to do. And I got in and got out with a degree. And then I went to work in Nashville and was working in a big law firm in Nashville, and just couldn't do that on my own. So I applied for a job in Greenville with the magistrate, Tilson, and lived in Johnson City, and went to work in Greenville. So I was the first one back, and that was in 1990. Ian was born in 1989. That was in 1990. So I moved back then.
So you needed the family support.
Well, they weren't here.
Well,
But I
Mom
still
came over
had-
there.
Yeah, I still had friends here, and I needed a job with, more reasonable hours. And so that's why I took that job and came back to Johnson City. I had lots of friends and lots of help here. And it was a place I knew. And so I worked for Judge Tilson for a year, got remarried, had another child, stayed home, I retired. Then we adopted a child, and I got, no, before we adopted the child, I was a little bit, I wasn't used to staying home. I needed, something to do. I loved my children, but didn't love staying home. So I ran for the school board. And that was in 1991. My term was from 1991
Okay.
until
That was 92, but
No, it was 92.
I thought it was 92. You remember?
Anyway, I served 8 years on the school board, and in the meantime, during that time, we adopted our daughter. After my term was up on the school board, Dan Russell, who was the superintendent, asked me if I would go to work for the school system. They did not have a human resources director then, and I'd never had an attorney on staff, and asked me if I would take that job. And I said, no, I really don't want to. And then I thought, well, you know what, I think I will. So that was in 2001.
Were you HR director? Or?
Yeah, I do both,
Okay.
HR and the legal work for the board and the school system. And I've done that since
2000.
I started July 1st, 2001.
So you started right as we were.
So
Coming
you've got
back.
18 years there.
I'm getting ready to start my 19th year at the school system.
Favorite things from growing up in Johnson City? Favorite things you used to do? Trish was talking about watching the Christmas parades downtown at your dad's office. Out the window.
Somebody you knew though one year had an office across the street like above Nettie Lee, because I remember we got to go upstairs. We were little. I mean, we were like 5, 6. So when you go upstairs and look down, it's a whole other, and I remember looking down.
I had
It
forgotten.
was a
Yeah.
studio. It was a photographer studio.
Is that what it
He's
was?
next door.
What was the name of? No, she was upstairs.
You walked
Okay.
up those narrow steps
Yeah.
right by
Yeah.
his office.
Yeah.
It was above.
I can't remember the name of it.
She took
Glenmore
our.
Clothing was next door. And it was something studios.
I actually had my senior portraits made. She did senior
Was it
portraits.
Eddie Lesueur's dad?
Yes.
What was her-
LeSueur. Was it the LeSueur?
Eddie LeSueur.
No, wasn't
It
that?
wasn't that
no,
one?
No.
He was in that.
He was in that business, but that wasn't
Okay, I
his
thought he
studio. This
It
was
was
a
a
lady.
woman. If she
Yeah.
was, if she
Yeah.
did do it. But we would go downtown for the Christmas parade, and in Dad's office, it had an odd angle. It wasn't actually parallel with the sidewalk, and there was a
Cut
ledge
line.
there,
Yeah.
and you would stand us on the ledge, and we could watch the Christmas parade without being cold. I remember that was a treat. I had forgotten we went upstairs.
Yeah, one year we got to go
one time.
upstairs.
That was
We also,
amazing.
where Target is now, before it was Target, it was Kmart. And before it was Kmart, they took us to the circus there.
Yes.
A circus came to town when it was an open field, and we went to the circus.
Yeah.
another
And
favorite.
McDonald's was, I'm sorry,
Oh, no.
but McDonald's was across the street, and it was really the old-timey McDonald's with the golden arches. Remember
I
that?
remember that, and
Remember
everybody
that?
used to park outside McDonald's and just watch people. That was the
Oh,
coolest
yes.
thing you could do.
Oh
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Yeah, I
One-
remember.
One fun thing we did, because obviously with 3, 4, 5 children, you economize your entertainment. Mom and Dad bought a 57 Chevrolet station wagon. So we had a station wagon, and they would put us in our pajamas and put blankets in the back and go to the drive-in.
But Mom would pop popcorn for us,
We would
and we'd have
treats.
drinks.
And
Yes.
we'd be in our PJs. We saw Cleopatra. We saw Old Yeller. and we saw several Clint Eastwood spaghetti in our pajamas in the back
of that
I
car.
remember
that car.
Cleopatra. And then, now the first time, because when we were growing up, if we went to the movies, it was a big deal. And I mean, you got the money to go to the movies, but that was it. There was no popcorn, no candy, no drinks. And I remember the first time I went to the movie with Mom and Dad, and for some reason it was just me, and went in and Dad got popcorn and a drink and candy, and I'm like, wait a minute. He's living it up here.
That was at the Majestic.
It was the Majestic.
At the Majestic.
It was. And it was a watermelon. It was a movie with
That movie was when we were the sponsors. Your mother and I were the chaperones to some deal, and it was a movie was a water. What was that? Oh, that
Something
was
Ryan.
that was anyway.
Yeah, but
yeah,
yes.
I remember going to the movie with him for the first time thinking, oh my gosh.
Well, I remember the
Let's
first
party.
movie Dad took me to was the Swiss Family Robinson. That was at the Majestic. I was probably 5 years old, and it was magic to go into a dark room,
Yeah.
sit down, and watch a movie.
I remember the first movie I went to was The Music Man. And
Yeah.
there was a line down Main Street to get in from the Majestic.
Yes.
And we went with the Wilsons.
Okay.
Yeah.